Alright, so pull the plugs out. Plugs actually look pretty good. We've got no compression in number 1, 105 in number 2, 60 in number 3, and 95 in number 4. So, I'm not sure what's going on with this one with 60, but this one probably has a stuck valve. So I'm going to squirt some oil in there and see if I can get the valves freed up. Hopefully we can get that one freed up. This one may have a leaky valve or a partially stuck valve that's not seating all the way. So I'm going to work on those. We're going to try to get this thing freed up, get the compression even without having to pull the head on it. And it's no sense trying to get this thing to run until we've got good compression. I need to get that one up, and that one, if I can get some oil in it, after turning over quite a bit, I bet that valve would seat. So let's see what we can do. Like I said, the plugs look pretty good. Looks like this thing wasn't burning too much oil or anything like that. So we'll see if we can get the compression up on that cylinder. Alright, so use some penetrating oil, and you can actually see down in there the valves. So what I did is I turned it over to where the valves were open, and when each valve was open, I shot some penetrating oil down in so it'd flow down through the valve guides, and I did that to every single valve, and quite a bit on this first one. And just rotate it over till a valve was up, spray it, rotate it, valve up, spray it, till I got all of them all sprayed, just to kind of lubricate the valves and kind of unstick them if they were stuck. Oh, and I forgot to tell y'all also, I think I forgot to tell you, this bolt was just loose, and it's a different bolt, so somebody put this bolt in there. So I went ahead and just torqued it down before I did all these tests, before I turned the motor over. But, so now we got 130, a 120, 110, and 120. So I'm going to say that's good, and we're going to see if we can get this thing to run. I think they'll even out more once this thing's running. Like I said, this one got a whole lot more oil in it than the others, just because it had no compression. And this one is the one that was only at 60, and I think the valve just wasn't seating all the way, so it was leaking compression. Now it's up to 120. I think once this thing is running, they'll even out a lot more. That one being wet, with more penetrating oil, it probably got around the rings as well, and that probably brought that cylinder up more. I kind of have a feeling that they're going to all even out around 120, or we may even get a little bit more after it runs a little bit and the rings seat a little better. But the minimum in my book shows 90, so we should definitely be able to run, and hopefully this is a good motor. So the top end looks good. We don't show signs of blown head gasket or anything, because it's not. We got good compression, so and the rings seem to be at least in decent shape, and right now the valves are sealing. So let's put the plugs back in it, and we will looks like they actually took the resistor out, so I actually don't have a resistor for this one. So I don't know which coil I'll use. Both of my coils are supposed to use a resistor with them, but we can temporarily hook them up and just not leave the coil plugged in very long. Make sure we don't burn up the coil or burn up the points, and we'll see if we can get this thing to fire off. Alright, so we're about ready to try to start it. I've actually got some plug wires at the house that I'd ordered for it. These are all cracked up, but we're just going to see if it'll fire off with those on it, since they're already on it. It may not. They're in pretty bad shape. They got cracks all in them, so it may arc too much. But got the carburetor on it. it's got gas in the carburetor. We'll have to see if it's going to be enough to start it. I may have to put a piece of fuel line on it and fill that fuel line full of gas. We'll see. I've hot wired it basically. I've got this coil hooked up to it. I'm going to hook this up. The starter solenoid doesn't work, so I'm having to turn it over by taking the battery charger lead and going to the post of the starter. So I'll clip this to the battery charger lead, and we'll see if we can get this thing to fire off. Do it about half throttle. Choke. We'll choke it. So let's see what it'll do. Got a bad exhaust manifold here. Or a bad exhaust manifold gasket. That fired up almost too easy. Check the oil pressure while it's running. I don't know how much gas we've got in it. That exhaust manifold is gone. Shocked me. I think I'm getting... Oh. I know what it is. I know exactly what's happening. My coil wire is running over on top of those old plug wires, and it's arcing over to my coil wire and coming up through my battery charger lead. So let me go get my coil wires, or my plug wires. You can see that manifold gasket and the manifold. I don't know if it's just the gasket or gasket and the manifold is just it's completely gone right there. And that's not a problem. We'll probably use my manifold, and I'll order a new gasket for it. So let me get the plug wires and we'll put those on it. Alright, I've got a piece of tubing, gas. I got my new spark plug wires on, and a new coil wire. Turn the battery charger back on and see if we can get this thing to start. Don't know if we need choke or not. good. What's happening is I'm losing connection here. If that battery's got enough in it to... No, there's not enough in that battery. Almost. Keep popping off. Found a good spot to clip this thing too. Sucks that we have no... We have to figure something out here. So we'll put that there. And I need some jumper cables. Alright, let's see if we can make this work. So we're going to take this. Take this. And I think that's making good contact, but we'll see. Connect that up here. Not making good contact. Crappy jumper cables. Let me see if the starter solenoid will actually work. Now, it wasn't. Let me... Let me put my other starter solenoid on here. It actually worked. It would get hung up and I'd have to hit it. So that's better than that one. So let me put that on there. Alright. Put my starter solenoid off that I'd replaced in the other one. The spring or something must be broke on this one. And so it engages, but it stays stuck. You got a bead on it, and it returns back. So let's hook our ignition up. wish I had a resistor. Alright, let's, I don't think we're out of gas. Let's back up. We're going to unchoke it. I like what I'm seeing. There's no blow-by. Got good oil pressure. And we're probably out of gas. Let the coil cool off. Good oil pressure. It had about 25. This oil seems kind of thin, and I'm going to say that's good enough, 25. It'd probably come up after an oil change. I didn't hear any knocking, anything. I did not have any blow-by. My other one just pours out of the pours blow-by out of the thing. So let me fill up a little more gas. We'll let it run just a little bit more, and I'll pull the oil cap off. I was in the process of pulling it off before it died, before it ran out of gas, or whatever happened. So let me add a little more gas to it. We got no water in it. Let me see if I can find a plug. The drain in the block, they put a plug in it. I mean, they took the drain out of the block, and so I need to see if I can find a plug. I don't think I have one, but let me see if I do, because I'd like to put some water in it and see if it has any leaks. All right. So I got water in it. Radiator seems to be holding okay. I'm dripping somewhere. Just got it all over the thing. Steady drip somewhere. Oh. Top radiator hose, or bottom radiator hose is leaking. That's not a big deal. Tighten it either. Alright, so coil's alright. Let's see if we can start it back up. Wrench. choked. Well, I just cleaned the points. I didn't gap them. I didn't do anything. Plus, we could be running out of fuel again. We don't appear to have any leaks. The block's not leaking. Top radiator hose is leaking a little bit. Bottom radiator hose is leaking. I went and looked for a pipe plug, and then I came back to the tractor and looked in the toolbox and found the actual plug, or the drain. So I put some Teflon on that, threaded it back into the block. This oil, there's no water in it, but it seems kind of thin. So I kind of think with an oil change, it's possible it's got some gas in it. It doesn't smell like it's got gas in it. It smells like it's got diesel in it. No, it just smells like oil. But it looks really thin, so I don't know. Like I said, there's no water in it. It's got 20 pounds of oil pressure. And it's not knocking or anything. I think with the oil change, that oil pressure is going to come up. So I think we've run it enough that we can probably say that it's a good motor. It's hard to keep this thing running without a gas tank and without a resistor. I don't want to burn up my coil. It's a little warm. I guess I could pull the resistor off of the other tractor, but I hate to go through all that trouble. You know. One thing we do need to do, we're going to pull this steering gearbox off and use it without adjusting the slop. That's how much it's got. Well, that was actually moving. The gearbox has that much in it. This one. Twice as much. And on that one, we can adjust the slop out of it easier. Just a better designed gearbox. So, I think we're going to call that good. It would sound a lot better if that gasket wasn't blown out there. But I think our next step will probably be to clean this thing up some. I'm going to hit it with some degreaser, and we'll clean it up, and then we'll start stripping this thing down, and we're going to pull this motor out. Pull this engine out. We'll use our other starter. I think it sounds a little better. Plus I redid they had the Bendix put together wrong on the other one. I had to pull the starter to redo the thing, and it was a nightmare to get the starter out because it was hanging up, and when I pulled it out, they had I guess taken the Bendix apart at one point and put it back together wrong, so where it stayed engaged out too much, so I couldn't get it out easy. So I know it's right, and I know it's a good starter, so we'll probably use that other starter and then save this one for a spare. And we're going to end up having to figure out how to mount a alternator on this one, because now we're switching over to the other side. Since the distributor's over here, we'll have to see if we can reuse our same alternator or I've got a few others if they're easier to mount up. So, anyway, thanks for watching. Oh, my can's out. Probably about to die. Oil pressure is a little low. Idling, it's about at 10, and revved up, it's about at 30. But it's warmed up now, so oil is probably thin as it's going to get. I've had it running a few minutes. I filled that can up twice and squirting in there. So that oil, like I said, is really thin. So we're going to just proceed with swapping this motor in. It sounds quiet, so I think it's going to be okay. And it pulled the cap off, and it's got no blow by. Well, I mean, it could have a hair, but definitely it's not blowing out of the fill like the other one was. I mean, it was just pouring out. This one, I don't even notice it blowing at all. So this motor's definitely, at least the rings are in good shape. So we're gonna go ahead and swap this thing out. Just trying to decide how much I actually want to clean this thing up. But for now, I think what we're gonna do is just go ahead and start stripping it down. And disconnect that. Actually hooked up the original coil just to see if it worked, and it does. We're going to start stripping this thing down, pull the radiator off, and go ahead and we'll unbolt the front end. And I think what I'll do to do that is jack up the thing and get under the transmission and get some of the weight off the front end back from the transmission, which would leave back on the transmission, which would leave the block free floating, and I can put the engine hoist on it to pull it off. You know, once I get it unbolted, to lift it off. So, but we're going to start at the front. We'll move our way to the back. We're going to undo the steering linkage and probably leave the arms on it. It looks like these arms are in okay shape. I don't see excess play in the tie rod ends. They both look okay, or all four of them look okay. So we'll pop them off down here, leave the arms attached, because the plan is going to be to put this steering gearbox on the other tractor, and the other tractor of course they are nice and painted, I guess. That one has slop in it. See that? That one is junk. And how's the other end? The other side's okay. That's the only bad one. And it probably got that way because they've got it. Well, no, I don't know. But, see, the deal is on these, one of these arms is shorter than the other. And when they went to the other gearbox, they flipped which side was shorter. So, if you switch gearboxes and you don't have extra arms, you just take and flip them one side to the other. But since we actually have good arms, tie rod arms, or whatever you want to call them, on this one, we'll just put these whole arms on. That one looks a little bent. That one's straight. Yeah, that one's a little bent. Well, we may mix and match them, but yeah. They seem to be tight. So, got a lot of stuff to pull off of here, so let me get busy and I'll give y'all some updates as we go along.